And we are live with session 18 of our Drown Gods campaign. And we're going to get started a little different than usual. In this case, we're going to have kind of an executive overview of a few things that have changed. So first of all, I should go over a couple of things that we weren't sure about in our last game that I said I would look up. And as promised, I did. So first of all, dual wielding, yes, so that I did have correct. They have removed the concept of dual wielding per se, as well as like the concept of an on hand and an off hand. In this case, it's just you are holding items. It's just a status for the items. And then if you are attacking with multiple weapons in different hands, it still just follows the standard attack from, you know, the first one with no negative, and then the second one with the -4, and the third one with the -8, unless you have feats that adjust that, etc. So that I did have straight. So any questions about dual wielding or any of what I just went over?
Perfectly clear.
Cool. All right, second one was flanking and what that actually did. So flanking in terms of how it is triggered, I did have that correct. So as long as you can draw a line between yourself and an ally, and that line crosses the target, and you are both within melee range. So you can't be flanking someone as an archer across the room with the warrior who's standing right next to them, right? But then, yeah, so that is how you trigger flanking. So that we had correct. But the effect of flanking is that they become flat-footed to you. So that we had wrong. But flat-footed has also changed. Flat-footed no longer removes a person's dexterity bonus from their AC. Instead, it is just a flat -2 to their AC. So we had that one kind of mixed up. So any questions?
I think we did do the -2, right? We just didn't do the flat-footed.
We actually sort of got halfway between both. We did the -2, but not because they were flat-footed, which then you used your trick to make them flat-footed, which you actually didn't even need to do. They would have been flat-footed to both hits. And on hits, I was giving them both the -2, and when you made them flat-footed from your first hit, I then removed their dex on top of the -2.
Okay, so we kind of messed it up somewhere in the middle, so it kind of evened out.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, obviously, we're not going to retcon anything, but going forward, now we should have the rules straight. So it's just flanking makes them flat-footed. Flat-footed, always a flat -2 to their AC. And then I think that was it, right? Dual wielding, flanking, flat-footed. Can't remember anything else that we were like having trouble with last session. If anyone does remember anything, let me know. I made sure to look things up. So there is that. Second of all, as people have already noticed, I'm sure you guys remember a few times I've said that one of the few things that I wish they had brought over to 2nd edition that they did implement in Starfinder was a stamina system. Well, guess what? There is a stamina system. It's an optional rule from the Game Master's Guide. So first of all, do people like the idea of switching over to a stamina system similar to Starfinder?
Let's pretend that one of us does not know what that means.
So let's look at Akalupu. So Akalupu before had like some ungodly number of hit points, right? Like 50 some hit points.
Yes.
And hit points, you get hit, and when you hit 0, you're dying. Stamina points divides your hit points or your like health into two pools: stamina points and hit points. Stamina points are essentially your like ability to take some damage but get up and keep going. So it's like bumps and bruises, and someone hits you with a sword but your armor catches most of it, and maybe you've got a couple of cracked ribs but you can kind of muscle through, right? And then hit points are more like, okay, now it's starting to wear on you and do lasting damage. Stamina points can be easily regained. There's actually a few different stamina actions you can make. The most obvious one is that you can take a 10-minute rest, spend 1 resolve point, which you can all see how many resolve points you have. Akalupu has 3, and recover all of your stamina. So it gives you the option to be able to like kind of push through more in a short period of time without necessarily being as dependent on healing to keep you alive. Because as long as you're not taking damage in excess of your stamina, you're able to get that back relatively quickly. Additionally, your resolve points are now what is used for coming back when you are dying. So instead of spending a hero point to recover from the dying condition, you would spend a resolve point to recover from the dying condition, leaving hero points just as rerolls.
This sounds great to me.
Quick question.
Yes.
Would there be a reason why Madawanui would have more resolve points than Akalupu?
You probably have more points in your class stat.
Okay, cool.
So he has a +2 in charisma, which I think is the barbarian. No, barbarian is strength. +3. So he gets 3 from that. I think I dumped like the full 18 to get you a +4 on your intelligence.
Cool. All makes sense.
All right, so is everyone in favor of changing to use stamina instead of just hit points?
Yes.
Cool. Then I should go over the stamina actions real quick. So the one I explained to you is the most important. So that's just being able to spend 10 minutes, you use a resolve point, and you recover. You can also try to encourage someone, and if you get a critical success, they can actually recover all of their all of their stamina points in 1 minute instead of 10 minutes. You can in combat spend a resolve point and make a check, and you recover half of your stamina, like actually during combat. There were a couple of others. Let me actually reopen the book. And then I'll probably put together something so people can see it later, because these actions will become fairly important. And while I'm looking that up, I think that's everything. Any questions about stamina?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Cool. Then let's now get started as normal. Everyone reset your hero point pools to 1. And I think that's all we need to do, because you'll regain all of your resolve points daily. So at the same times that you would regain like your spell slots or any of those things, at a long rest, you regain all of your resolve points, and you can't just like do a long rest and then like do a 2-hour fight and then do a second long rest. It doesn't work that way. You can only do it once in a 24-hour roughly period, just in case anyone's getting any funny ideas. But yeah, reset your hero point pools to 1, and let's get the Akalupu recap.
It's very short. Akalupu may have spent a lot of time sketching last time.
It was a good sketch, though. Not gonna lie.
The heroes see the boat and rename it Regildina, aka Bodie McBoatface. The wizard finds stairs and is able to get the group to come with him. Evil crabs sneak attack the group. The great warrior bites crabs and kills them all. Which is that's definitely just how Akalupu remembers it.
Yep, no one else did any damage.
Mm-hmm. It was just Akalupu biting the crabs.
Yes.
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure that's how everyone remembers it. I mean, that's just what happened.
Right? That was it. That's all Akalupu remembers. / wrote down.
All right, and there is all of the things you can do with your stamina points. Other than take a breather, which is the one I talked about with just like 10 minutes, and you regain all your stamina. So you can rally, which is what I was talking about, where you encourage someone on a critical success. They can spend the resolve point and regain all of their stamina instantly with just the 1 minute of encouragement. On a success, they just like spend 1 resolve and regain all their stamina, which is just how take a breather works. So I don't really understand, unless you're like trying to get a crit here. I don't understand the point of rally, honestly. And then encouraging words. So that one is if someone has already lost all of their stamina points, you can try to, just like, someone's already run out of stamina, and you're just like, come on, man, we can do it, push through, fight. Like, and this is another one that you would do in combat. I think this is a feat, though, that you would have to take. And then, it's a level 2 feat. And then steal your resolve is a level 3 feat. And in that one, you spend 1 resolve point and you regain half of your stamina, and you can do that in combat. So it's basically like a self-heal where you're just like, oh, I'm so angry that I've become more powerful.
He's level 9,000.
Exactly. So who wants to give the full recap now for a hero point?
I mean, I'll do it for a hero point. If there's no takers.
Yeah, it sounds like it's all up to you now.
Already. As usual. No, I'm just kidding.
As usual? You mean as always?
Hey, you know what? Some people call me an opportunist. Some people just say, wow, he's a really cool guy. I wish I could be like him one day. It's all a matter of perspective.
Exactly.
Anyway, so we got, we found nothing at that lake. Actually, that's not true. We found a tiny boat, which was kind of cute.
You did. A tiny little model wooden boat that you were all hoping was a magically shrunk boat.
Yeah, but it was just a tiny boat, as it turns out.
Yep.
Kind of crazy. Then, from there, we saw a boat, the sand boat, our boat, kind of wrecked on the shore. It was like kind of wrecked, not like totally wrecked.
Yeah.
And so I was like, guys, let's take the stairs. And Manawanui and Pipiopi were like, nah, man, we're going to jump off this cliff. Manawanui was like, no, y'all, we should actually take the stairs. And he actually had to, muscle in and intimidate some fools.
Yeah, as a witch, do you still have a stupidly high intimidate?
I switched it to diplomacy because I figured that made more sense.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that does make more sense.
I still have, so I have a +7 diplomacy and only a +2 intimidation now. Which I don't know, I thought about keeping it because I thought it was kind of neat, but we'll see. I did a spell which was command, which kind of similar, but not really. Anywho, and then we went down the stairs, avoiding the creepy ghost people, saw a boat. Everybody aside from PPOP was like, there's something shifty about them rocks. And sure enough, those rocks were actually crabs. And we beat the crabs. Akalupu bit several crabs apart. Actually, really just one. Like one shot with his teeth. But it was still pretty cool. Then we salvaged the crab meat. Kind of discussed about how we wanted to repair the ship. And then went to bed, but Manawanui, being a Chad, wakes up earlier than everyone else. Just, to get that kind on life,
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. Sammy, in quotations, said, hey, did she say anything about Reginald, or did she just come up and start talking to me?
She came up and started talking to you.
That's right. And I said I was sad. And Manawanui said he was sad about losing Reginald. And she said, well, he's not gone. We could get him back. And Manawanui, in an emotionally vulnerable state, didn't really question this. He's like, oh, that's awesome. Me and Reginald. He sacrificed himself for me, and now I can help him, right? But maybe it should have been, in hindsight, a bit more cautious, because we built this big old pentagram thingy, I think, or something.
Yeah, it was a big old pentagram.
Yeah. I mean, that's usually a red flag, but like I said, emotional state. And then Sammy goes, takes a puppy behind the rock, and probably loves it to sleep or something like that. We don't know. Places the possibly sleeping puppy in the middle of this circle. At which point, Madeline starts to think, maybe something's a little off. That's a very still sleeping puppy. That's neither here nor there. And then Sammy says, all right, I'm gonna need some of your blood. Also should have been a red flag, but again, vulnerable model anyway. Good old. He cuts his hand. If that's not,
She cuts his hand.
Yeah, he held out his hand for her to cut, but I mean, it doesn't matter. Regardless,
his hand gets cut, and he bleeds onto the suspiciously still puppy, which turns into...
She had you hold the puppy. It was pretty obvious that it was dead.
Yeah, maybe. It was maybe dead.
Maybe it was just a stuffed animal the whole time?
Yeah, maybe. There are weird things have happened. Probably. And the puppy, maybe stuffed animal, turned into Reginald. Well, also, I think a voice appeared in... Wait, did Sammy, what happened to Sammy? Did something happen to her? Didn't she, go limp or something?
So as the spell was ending, so Sammy had been chanting while you were standing in the pentagram bleeding onto the puppy, which slowly turned into Reginald. And then after the transformation completed, your hand had healed itself. And then you grabbed Reginald and were kind of like, yay, Reggie's back. And then you heard a flop behind you and you looked, and Sammy, after she had finished chanting, had collapsed and was now lying on the ground. And then you looked back at Reginald and his eyes were glowing red the same way that Chi-Chi's would sometimes when you saw it, like the time that you saw him in your dream. And he was threatening. It was glowing that same way. Sammy's eyes had also been glowing red while she was chanting. And then you heard a voice from Reginald.
That's right. It said, didn't say something like welcome or something like that?
Fold?
Yeah, so it said, welcome to the fold.
That's right. Yeah, and at that point, Manawanui knew. No, that he done messed up.
It was at this moment that Manawanui knew he'd messed up.
Exactly. And then cliffhanger ending.
Yep, that's where we wrapped up. All right. Well, I think that earns you a hero point. So, get you that re-roll. And it'll be nice. Now you don't have to worry about, well, do I save the hero point to not die? Now it's there for a reroll. You use it or you lose it.
Exactly. It's not like, ooh, I like it.
All right. So, so we'll pick up right there. So you turn around from the now prone Sammy, and looking back at Reginald, his eyes are glowing red. And you hear a voice inside of your head that says, welcome to the fold.
Reginald?
I'm sorry. Reginald isn't here right now.
You know when he'll be back?
Oh, whenever I'm ready for him to be back, I suppose. But come, follow me. We have a lot to discuss. And so Reginald kind of hops out of your hands and starts hopping a ways down the beach.
I'm gonna look back at Sammy, kind of like see if she's breathing.
She is breathing.
Okay. I'm gonna leave her there for now and follow the bird against my bird instincts.
So he leads you not too far down the beach, just a short ways away from the group. And you then hear strange sounds coming from Reginald in a language that you don't understand or recognize. And then you see a pillar of light about 7 feet tall appear in front of him and then rotate clockwise to make a disc. And he says, "Come on, in here." And he hops into the disc of light.
I'm gonna trepidatiously walk into the disc.
All right. So as you begin to enter the disc, you immediately feel a strange sensation, a wet, kind of moist sensation. Though that doesn't seem to be quite correct. It's almost, if you remember when you were going through the water down into the underworld or the spirit world, where it was like you were submersed in water, but then you were able to breathe freely. It has that same feeling of wetness and weight, as if you were underwater, but not. And you enter fully into the portal, and you see very little around you. Everything is very dark. You can feel that you're standing on some sort of solid surface, and there are a few dimly glowing red lights ahead of you. Otherwise, everything is concealed in pitch blackness, so thick that it feels as though the air itself were filled with a blackened fog. You can even, it's such a thick blackness that you can see it shifting and moving around you, as if it were like a physical manifestation of darkness.
Oh. And you said it's like around me, correct? Like I'm not like in like a path of light with it off to the side?
No, you're completely surrounded to this, though you can see some dim red lights ahead of you.
Alright, I'm gonna like shuffle towards the red lights, but like I don't wanna take my feet too far off the quote unquote ground.
Yeah.
So I don't want to fall.
So you take a few trepidatious steps forward, and pretty quickly your foot bumps into something on the ground.
I'm gonna kind of reach to. Is it like is it like a stair?
No. Well, I mean, you don't know yet. All you've done is your foot has hit it. If you reach down, though, you
I'm
can
gonna reach
feel what
down.
the object is, and it's not a stair. It seems to be something that is solid. You can move it easily, or even pick it up if you want. It is rectangular and feels to be made out of some smooth, fibrous material.
I'm gonna pick it up.
All right. So you pick it up. You really can't see it in the darkness, but you are now holding it. Feeling through it, though, you can feel... well, I don't know. Yeah, you really don't know what this is, but it feels kind of like solid, fibrous, and smooth. As you play it across your hands, you find out that it is able to fold open in the center, and there are a series of smooth rectangular shapes that are able to be flipped and bent and moved around in the middle. And then it is hinged on one side. Obviously out of character. I'm sure you know what this is.
Yeah. Is it a book?
I don't know.
That's so weird. Marlon is gonna mess with it for a little bit and kind of just like hold it, kind of continue on his way.
All right.
Tapping it
Yeah,
on
and
the
as
thing.
you're kind of messing with it, you hear the voice in your head and says, "Come along now. We haven't got all night."
I'm gonna continue on with the book.
All right. So you continue on toward the lights. You get as you're drawing closer to them, you actually see a number of other lights flare up, and the ones in front of you get brighter. And he goes, "Oh yes, I always forget mortals and their lack of vision. I'm turning on some more lights. Is this a bit more amenable?" And you look around, and you can now actually see what's around you. The darkness is, in fact, physically manifested. Even as there is now light and you can see what's around you, you still see shifting swirls of darkness just wafting through the area, often obscuring different areas before being driven back and pushed to another area. It's almost as if the darkness were a fog being pressed around by fans rather than light. But you can see around you, you are in an enclosed space made entirely of wood and piled up on like alcoves in the walls and on the floor and in boxes and crates are just rows and rows of scrolls and books and other written records, tablets, and other things across this area. The whole thing stretches up impossibly high. You can't even see the top. It just dwindles away. And there are ladders along these shelves leading up to these endless distances. And you can see ahead of you a small raised area up a short flight of 5 or so steps. And sitting there at the very end of it is not Reginald, but instead you see what is actually seemingly the source of all of this darkness is some sort of figure. The darkness that you've seen wafting around is so much thicker the closer you get to him that you can't quite make out his direct figure, but it seems to be roughly humanoid. With tall, spiky hair, in what out of character would be kind of a Victorian outfit with a high collar. And he's got a cane leaning up against a desk, which is covered once again in more manuscripts. And you feel this dark, oppressive essence just, or aura kind of just flowing from him. But then standing on the desk next to him is Reginald. Well, welcome to my employ, I suppose. Formalities, and so then he says, come closer. We need to wrap this up. I have a very busy schedule, and you are not the only one on it.
Employee?
Yeah, Yes, you work for me now. Come on. And so he taps, he grabs the cane and he taps a chair across. Actually, he wouldn't even let you sit. He just taps the ground in front of his desk.
I guess I'm going to shamble up to right in front of his desk.
All right, so he takes a piece of paper and you can see him affix a pair of rectangular, like very angular rectangular reading glasses. Though, of course, it disappears into the darkness rather quickly to where you can only see the outlines. And he shuffles through a box, flipping through a few papers before fixing on one that he seemed to have been looking for. And he takes it out, examines it briefly, and then he takes a feather, dips it into a pot, and then scribbles across the surface something. And then looking it over one more time, he then takes it and very precisely spins it around toward you and says, "There you go. This is merely a formality, of course. You've already signed the contract in blood." And when he says that, you can see a vicious smile come across his face, and the glowing red eyes light up. But I prefer to keep things rather as neat and orderly as possible. So if you would sign here, and initials there.
First off, I think there might have been some mistake. I don't remember any contract. Secondly, what is signing?
Did you or did you not create a pentagram? Did you or did you not willingly allow your hand to be cut and use your own blood for a ritual?
I mean,
whether or not you did it knowingly is irrelevant, of course. Now, please continue.
What is signing as well?
Well, I need you to take this, and he points to the feather. Use that end, and he points to the end with the ink on it. And I need you to just draw whatever you want, right here. I am aware that you are not familiar with writing, though that can be remedied.
Writing. I'm gonna take it. I wanna draw a bird.
All right. So once you finish, he looks it over. Well, that's certainly good enough. And he takes it and sprinkles sand across it and takes a blotter, blots the end of it, and then he just kind of like snaps and it disappears. Or actually, no, he snaps and you see a tiny little figure, which appears to be made out of spoons. So it's like a little stick figure made entirely out of spoons with forks for hands. Kind of walks over and grabs it with those little fork hands and then starts walking off toward a filing cabinet in some corner.
If I may, what exactly do I have to do in your employ?
Oh, yes. Well, standard contract. I was actually just about to get to that. And I don't have too much more time, unfortunately, so we will have to be brief about it. But to give you the relevant facts, my name is Topple. I am now your patron. You are a witch, in case you weren't already aware. Your spellcasting powers will now be granted through me in order to allow you to become more powerful. And in this case, you and I's interests align. I need you to become powerful, as it is good for my prestige, and by the same metric, you need to become powerful so that you don't die to whatever random crab wants to eat your face.
Sounds interesting.
Unfortunately, that girl, your friend Sammy, completely useless. I have tried extensively to get anything out of her, but she seems incapable when it comes to actually dealing with anything, so You, on the other hand, I've been watching your actions, and you seem to have very few qualms with this sort of thing, so you seem perfect. So in exchange for great powers and knowledge, I will then allow you to do what you want for the most part, with only a few occasional, let us say, errands or favors in return. For the most part, I shouldn't be too much in your way. Do what you wish, and as long as you are continuing to grow more powerful and take advantage of your powers, we won't have any problems.
Hey, wait, what happened to Sammy? Is she okay? What's going on with her?
Oh, yes. She's already contracted, and she... Unfortunately, it's more trouble than it's worth to terminate a contract, so she'll continue on as she always has. Just, I hope for more from you.
Huh. So then tonight you were talking about parents. Was that something that she was doing, or what?
Oh, yes, you're wondering about Sammy's odd behavior occasionally of nights. No, that was me. Same with the time what's the name of the rat? Chi-Chi? He flips through like a paper, and he like snaps and a paper appears in his hand. He kind of like scans it over. Oh yes, Chi-Chi. That was me also. At first I was a bit worried about you prying into things, but it quickly became obvious that you weren't anything to be worried about. So I changed tacts. Unfortunately, you weren't interested in my initial proposition. Too bad. It has been quite some time since I've indirectly tasted the pleasures of the flesh, but you denied her and me, I suppose, by extension. But whatever, I got you in the end, that's what matters.
Wait, that was you? What the?
Oh yes, and do be prepared if you don't remember a few nights. I can get a bit rowdy at times.
Oh. Wait.
Oh, don't worry. You're an important asset as my employee. I won't do anything too untoward with you.
Aw. I knew he's just gonna sit there and like start trying to put like one and one together.
Right. So then he's going to he pulls something out of a pocket, and you hear him kind of hiss, just of course, and then he closes it with a click and says, "Well, unfortunately, this is all the time I and therefore you have. I'm sure you have more questions. I'll give you some time to think about them, and we'll talk again. Ta-ta. See yourself out." And he waves a hand, and a portal appears behind you. And then he gets up and, just without paying any further attention to you, walks toward a shelf, and then kind of just slides it out of the way. Walks through the hole in the wall, and the shelf slides back.
Well, yeah. Okay. I don't know, he's gonna like take a brief scan around the room.
All right. Yeah. So you look around and you're not seeing anything too different. The spoon golem is standing there, staring at you with its blank spoon face. But otherwise, you see what you've kind of seen, just books endlessly stretching above you. The space itself is relatively small, probably about the size of like, I don't know, what's a good example? Like the size of a typical Starbucks. There we go. So, like, it's not a huge space, except vertically.
Well, Mono is going to grab a book.
All right, as soon as you start reaching for a book, the Spoon Guardian kind of, like, steps toward you.
Is there a way I could stealthily take a book?
You have gotten away with the one that you took before the lights came on, so you're currently holding a book.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave with that book. Gotta cut our losses with that. There's no like interesting trinkets that I could.
Oh, there's stuff all over the place. This is just like crowded. There are just boxes and filing cabinets, and there are just mostly it's manuscripts, but there's other weird things. There are random skulls, jewelry, just like tchotchkes, statues.
I am going to pick up a small silver medallion.
All
Or
right.
try to, at least.
Yeah, so you're able to pick up the small silver medallion. The spoon kind of like looks at you again, but it doesn't do anything to you.
With that, I'm gonna leave.
All right. Yeah, so you exit the portal and you find yourself right back on the beach where you left. Reginald is with you. His eyes no longer glowing, but he's back to his old self, just perched on your shoulder.
I'm gonna. Well, first things, I'm gonna stash my goods underneath the rock or something.
All right, you are on a beach. I don't know if that's the best place for a book.
I'm gonna.
I would put it on top of the rock before I would put it under the rock.
I'm gonna go up to like kind of like the beach line, and put it in a bush.
Cool.
And I'm gonna mark that bush with a sigil.
Yeah, you're doing an invisible one this time?
Yeah, one that only I can see.
Cool.
And then I'm gonna go back and see if Sammy's okay.
All right, so you go back, and Sammy is actually just starting to like stir as you come back, and you can see her just like she's now sitting up. She's rubbing her eyes, and she looks up and sees you and goes, How did I get here?
You must have sleepwalked or something.
Yeah, I guess. Weird. I've never done that before, though. She starts getting up, and then she looks at the pentagram. What the heck is that?
Must just be the rocks. Hey, real quick. Would you happen to know anything about like a patron or anything like that? Does that mean anything to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's this guy, I guess. I don't like to talk about it because he's kind of sketchy. But
Yeah.
it was not too long after I found Chi-Chi. And I guess, well, that's how I became a witch.
I'm sorry, there seems to be a gap between that. You found Chi-Chi. This guy just shows up, or?
Well, yeah, I was always able to do like some magic. So my mom, of course, you know, she's a witch. And so I guess it must run in our family. And yeah, I was approached by a guy, and he offered to give me powers and, you know, teach me how to do magic like my mom. And well, I guess I said yeah. And I don't know, I hope I'm able to help you guys because of it. I mean, before that I was just, you know, just a girl, just another normal girl in the village, and just I wanted to be able to help the people around me, to be able to, you know, protect the people I loved. And since then I've been able to do more, you know. I was able to heal Akalupu and to help all of you throughout our adventure.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely good. No.
So if you know about that, I guess he must have approached you too. Is that what this is about? She says, pointing to the pentagram.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh, and Reginald is back.
yeah. That was yeah. He was. I guess he wasn't all the way gone as we thought. We
Yeah.
better go back to the others and start getting ready for the day.
Yeah, you say that the sun is actually just starting to come up. So yeah, she says, yeah. Yeah, they'll probably be stirring pretty soon. PPOP especially is an early riser.
Yep.
Should we
Good old.
clean that up? She says, pointing to the pentagram with blood
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Best not to tell anybody else about it. You know, they might get a little freaked out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, he keeps, I guess, he keeps wanting me to do things. Anyway, you'll find out. I probably shouldn't say too much. I don't want to make him mad.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he has too much. He doesn't seem like he has too big of an attention span. So,
You'd be surprised once he sets his sights on something.
Anywho, either way, let's not tell the others about him.
Yeah. All right, so you guys clean up. I mean, it's pretty easy. You just have to like scatter the shells so that they're not making an obvious pentagram, and then you can just like flip over the part where all the blood is, so that the blood is under the sand, right?
Yeah.
So the cleanup is pretty straightforward. So yeah, that doesn't take too long, and then PPOP, I would imagine I think you're an early riser. You're probably the first one of the others up. Unless you were just too exhausted.
Good morning. What are you two doing up?
You know, surveying the land, looking at the boat, just really discussing what our next plans, next steps are from here.
Yeah, I prepared some mend spells, so that'll help quite a bit. And then PPOP, you said you were able to take care of the sails, right?
I should be able to. I'll get started this morning.
Cool. Yeah, we just need to wait for Akalupu to wake up so we can have breakfast, I guess, since he's guarding all the food, and we all know what happened last time one of us tried to grab food while he was still sleeping on it.
You just leave that to me. I'm gonna try and sneak over and take the food while Akalupu's still sleeping.
All right, let's get a stealth check.
$23.
Nice.
All right. Akalupu, let's get a perception check plus 10 because it's food. And this is Akalupu.
So I rolled 19. I have a +7. So 26 plus 10 is 36.
All right, not even close.
That's unachievable for me.
Yeah, it involves food. So Akalupu's on the ball. As soon as you start going for it, Akalupu goes into like protect my stakes mode.
Yeah, even with my I have a subtle theft feat, which gives Akalupu a -2 to the perception DC, but doesn't matter with a 36.
All right, Akalupu, you are
Like,
waking up, and all you know is someone's taking your food.
yeah, he like kind of like curls around the food and like bares his teeth and like hisses at PPOP.
I just run away.
Akalupu now awake does groggily kind of it's like, whoa, what's going on, guys? Hey, who's ready for some breakfast? And he starts making food.
Some crab.
Yeah. Are you gonna get one of the mages to, or did you guys already start a fire? Or are you just relying on prestidigitation? Or eating it raw? Like, all three of those are valid options.
I think we had the coals from last night's fire.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm trying to rebuild the fire from the coals.
Cool. Alright, so what's the plan? PPOP, you're gonna need fibers in order to make like some thread and a few replacement pieces for the sail. Sammy can use mend, so she can repair more or less whatever. And as a reminder, the things that you need to repair are the sails are ripped and torn. The mast is split partway down the center, and the outrigger is broken in multiple places.
Well,
so basically, what it comes down to is I need to know who's fixing what, and then if you're not using magic, I'm gonna need craft checks to repair things.
Manawa Nui. What was the list of broken things? I'm sorry.
The sails are ripped and torn. The mast is split partway down the middle, and the outrigger is broken in multiple places.
Alright. Well, Manawa Nui is going to try and fix the outrigger, and he's going to use his spell. Hold on one second. Yeah, he's going to use temporary tool to aid him in fixing it and like gathering new material.
Cool. What does temporary tool do?
You can summon a tool for a single activity or for 1 minute. Then after which it disappears.
Cool. So you can use that for just like certain key moments. Is that
Yeah.
What level is that spell?
That is a level 1 spell.
Alright, so you've probably only got it prepared once.
That is correct.
Alright, cool. Well, then you can use it in like a key moment. I'll say that it gives you like a +2 to your craft check.
Cool. So he's gonna go off and like...
Oh, PPOP, give yourself a night's rest worth of healing.
How much is that?
There used to be a button for it. Yeah.
Oh, rest and prepare.
Okay, cool.
Night's rest. Oh, I didn't think it was doing anything, and I clicked it like 6 times.
Oh.
But
I was like, I was wondering how your hit points just kept going up.
I didn't think it did anything. It just kept me on the screen and didn't show me that anything happened.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, wait. I can go back down to where I was because I remember I was at 11. Yes. Okay, and then rest. Night's rest. Okay, it heals me 3.
Cool. Yeah, I forget what it is. Like, it's like Constitution bonus plus level or something like that, but I don't remember for sure. Yeah, and your constitution is +0, so I think that is exactly what it is, because it gave you 3 hit points. Yeah, oh, and Sammy can actually just roll a heal check now. Well, I guess anyone can. You could roll a heal check, and then she actually got a feat where she can use a heal check to heal you during combat. So let me add Sammy real quick. Stage, there we go. And then Sammy is going to see if she can't heal you up at all. So where is skills? Skills, that is spells. It's also not skills. Why is skills a running icon? Whatever, I guess it makes as much sense as anything. Medicine. So she is going to attempt first aid. She's going to level she. She is an expert. So great wound. Here we go. Where is expert? So she could try for a DC 20 to increase the hit points gained, but I think she's gonna stick with the easier check. So she's gonna go for a DC 15 to treat you for like an hour in the morning, and you are going to regain, if she succeeds, 2d8 hit points. Let's see. Medicine check. Roll that. She got a 12. All right, so she like bandages you up, but she's not able to get like the right herbs that she would normally use on this island, and there's a little bit of sand in the bandages, and so it's a wash.
Damn.
Alrighty, so breakfast is over. So we're going to continue on with repairing the boat. So who wants to go first? Sammy's just going to cast her 3 spells. So no checks from her.
Manawanui will try his crafting at so he's gonna like try and gather some more wood for the outriggers. Some non-broken wood.
Alrighty. There are a few scattered trees on the beach, but to get any of the larger trees, you're gonna have to go up onto the main island.
Oh dang, that's right. We're on like okay. Well, I guess Manawanui's gonna go up onto the main
But there
island.
is that crashed boat, or the what's the word I'm looking for?
Right.
Shipwrecked. There's that shipwrecked boat right off the beach.
Is gonna swim out to the shipwreck boat, try and collect some wood
Cool.
and usable pieces of material.
See if there's any patches of sail over there.
You mean like right there where the weird ghost thingy is?
I was waiting for someone to mention it. And yes, you actually finally notice, after all of this time, one of the ghosts from the main island has just been standing there staring creepily at all of you. And you don't know how long he's been there. And once you notice him, you notice that his eyes are following the rings on your hands.
I knew it. Well, I guess I didn't know it. Reginald knew it.
PPOP takes his ring off and throws it at the ghost.
All right, so you go to take the ring off, and you try to pull, and you find that it's completely attached. You're unable to take it off. And you pull harder, and it just like stays there, unmoving.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Divine Guidance on myself so
All
that
right.
I use my spell up for the day.
You have a +1 for 1 round, or whatever that spell does.
And now I'm gonna try and take the ring off again.
Yeah, still unable to remove the ring.
Mana Wanui is going to walk up to the ghost thing.
Mm-hmm.
And cast the spell that came with his ring, which is Disrupt Undead, onto the ghost, using the ring magic.
All right, roll for initiative, because that will be entering combat. I think no one else, like, I guess everyone else can get involved in the next round, but since you didn't give them any warning, everyone else is just gonna be like, wait, what the heck? That escalated quickly. So let me add a Ghost. That's not what I want.
I got a 15 whenever that's ready.
And then, oh, I already had him. I forgot I had already gotten this ready. Because I'm smart.
Oh, we knew something fishy was going on.
Yes, because the ghost on this island looking at your rings has completely just confirmed what the problem with those rings is.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it wasn't even Mana Wanui. It was Reginald, who has this very haughty look about him, like, I told you. He doesn't really understand why he feels so satisfied, but he does.
Yeah. Well, he's also wrong.
Maybe.
All right. Start.
He doesn't have a small bird brain.
So Mana Witchy, what are you using? Hey, you're the one who never changed your name.
That was my name. What am I using for what?
For your initiative. Just standard perception?
Yeah, unless I can use reflex or will.
No. You can use perception, deception, diplomacy, stealth, or survival.
I'm gonna use diplomacy.
Alright, so you're like, hey, friendo, blam!
Basically.
Hey,
buddy.
So, you did not get initiative before him. So, you've gone up to cast Disrupt Undead on him, but then before you're able to, he suddenly goes, similar to before when you were trying to leave the island and they kind of went feral and started trying to kill you. He once again just with no warning, immediately starts hissing and turns into this like hideous visage where his chest opens up and it's full of centipede legs and the whole thing. And he's just like, gives me the shiny! And he's going to come at you. So Akalupu gets no action this round. Pipiopi gets no action. Goost. So this ghost is going to just try to grab you. So he's trying to like just wrap his arms around you and get his like horrifying chest stabby legs around your tender bits. So you have conveniently walked right up to him, so he doesn't have to move, so he can attack 3 times.
I can take it.
All right. What is your AC?
17.
All right, so he hits you twice
Oh dear.
for 17 total damage.
Is that like hit point damage?
So it always comes out of stamina first and then hit points. So think about it in like video games where you have like a regenerating shield. And then if things hit you, you lose your shield and then you start taking health damage.
I see. So we're going to decrease that by 9. Cannot be modified while derived proxy exists. I don't know what that means.
All right, and so so he just wraps. He does successfully grab you. You are also grappled now. Wrapping his grabs you in both arms, pulling you into his chest, and these stinger legs, so they're like I said, they're like centipede legs with sharp points on the end, start just like repeatedly stabbing you just all over your chest and your sides. And just like repeatedly, you can feel them just like burning. It feels as though they are possibly trying to also inject you with something horrible.
Would that be piercing, slashing damage?
That would be piercing damage.
Okay. Now you can tell me if this works. So I've got a spell called Blood Vendetta, and it looks like it triggers whenever I am pierced or slashed.
Do you have to cast it on yourself first?
Let's
see.
Know.
Blood Vendetta. Requirements that you can bleed. Yeah, you can definitely bleed. Trigger. Deals piercing, slashing. Yep. Curse the target, punishing it for having the audacity to spill your blood. The target takes 2d6 persistent bleed damage and must attempt a will save. It is a reaction. All right, so see where in the cast it's got that wrapping arrow?
Nice.
That means it's a reaction, which means, yes, you can cast it out of turn. So if you would like to use that spell, you can use it now.
I would like to use that spell.
All right. So let's get a roll on that.
And that would be a will.
Or does it resist?
I think it has to.
Yeah, okay, it's a resist one. Okay, so you cast it. Make sure you use that spell slot. And then it's going to make a will save at a DC 19. Get a will save from this boy. Roll 12. All right, so it fails, but not a critical fail. So it does what? It takes 2d6 damage.
That is correct.
Any other effects? Success. Failure. The target takes the full persistent bleeding damage until the bleeding stops. The target has weakness 1 to piercing slashing damage. Cool. All right, so it's going to take bleed. I do not remember how. Let's see. 6. So it's going to take 6 points of bleed damage. Okay. Which it did take. I don't know if you guys can see stamina separate from hit points on enemies, but it did take 6 points of damage. And it has weakness 1 now. At a condition? Affliction. Yeah, I don't know how to apply weakness to it. Does it say what weakness does?
Let me tell you. It says it takes one weakness. One weakness to piercing and slashing damage.
Okay. Weakness 1 to piercing and slashing. Cool.
Which I don't think anything that pierces or slashes.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
It'll help my friends, probably. If they save me out of this kind of self-caused problem. But was it self-caused? Maybe.
Right. And then I'm going to put a little... I think there's a blood drop. Nope. I guess I will do this one to point out that he's bleeding. And remind me if I don't give him bleed damage on his turn.
I shall.
Alright. So that is it for his turn. And Sammy doesn't get to act. So, Manawawichi, you are up.
Alrighty, Mano. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. We are going to. Alright, so we are going to do shocking grasp upon him. And that, it says I have to roll. Alrighty. I got a 27.
Alright, that'll hit.
Alright, on a hit, let me see what it says. On a hit, the target takes 2d12 electric damage. It's not wearing metal armor by chance, would it?
Yes, the ghost is wearing metal armor. I forgot to tell you that it's decked out in a full plate set. That's why he's been clanking so much.
Yeah, you know what? That's what actually caused me to notice him. I heard like clank clank. I was like, what is that? That's a weird noise.
Oh. All right, so another type of physical damage is bleed damage. This is persistent damage that represents loss of blood. As such, it has no effect on non-living creatures or living creatures who don't need blood to live. Weaknesses and resistances to physical damage apply. Bleed damage ends automatically if you're healed to your full hit points. He's a goose, so no bleed damage.
Of that damage.
And the 2d6 was just bleed damage, right? It wasn't like 2d6 damage plus bleed.
I think it was just bleed damage.
All right, so you just that did absolutely nada to him.
Let me see. Yeah, bleed damage. Damn it.
So yeah, so that spell did nothing.
Alright, well, he still takes 2d12 damage from the lightning fingers.
Yes.
As they're called. It's okay, Rebecca. Oh,
have you rolled the damage on that yet?
Oh, I thought that was something that you rolled. Yes, no. I will do that. /R 2d12. 17. One of them was a 12.
Nice.
Dang.
That is actually not bad. I think that's exactly how much damage he did to you.
It is exactly how much damage he did to me.
So a bit of a tit for tat there.
Yeah. All
right. So that definitely gets his attention. As the lightning courses through him, he growls even louder, gripping you again. Is like, "No, give me the shiny."
And I'm going to take my last action, because I have one more.
Yes.
And transfer... I'm going to transfer Disrupt Undead to Reginald.
Is that one of your spells, or is that just from the ring?
That's from the ring. Can I not transfer him a spell like that?
No.
Okay. Well then. I am going to transfer... Well, it's got to be a touch spell. JK, I'm not transferring anything to him. I'm going to hit him with my fist.
You are grappled.
Oh.
So that's going to be very difficult.
Oh, dang it. I didn't prepare heal. Why not? Why did I not do that? I don't know. I'm going to use a resolve point to redo some... how much stamina can I redo with one resolve point?
You can't... So if you want to, you would have to have a feat to recover half of your stamina with one resolve point. You don't have that feat, though. Okay. So you need a 10-minute uninterrupted rest to use a resolve point to recover all of your stamina.
I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just going to say.
Nope, you're definitely not going to get 10 minutes. I mean, you might get 10 minutes alone with this guy if you ask all your friends to leave you nicely, but I don't think it's going to end in you getting any rest.
Can I try and ungrapple myself?
Yes.
Alright, that's what I'm going to do.
Alright.
What would that be?
That would be a... are you trying to, like, reverse the grapple or just get away?
Just get out of his grapple.
Alright, then that is going to be, I believe, acrobatics.
Cool. Where's my acrobatics? Here we go. I got a 13.
He's still got you.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Alright, that is it for your turn. So, Akalupu, you're now up. So, you just saw all of this transpire in front of you. Your friend just like walks up to this ghost, is like, "Hey, friendo," and makes a threatening gesture, and then the ghost just like went ballistic on him.
I guess I'll help.
Thanks, Akalupu.
If I have to. I mean, you could just leave him to his fate.
I know. It was like, I was tempted to, because, like, that ghost wasn't doing nothing to them.
You know, I called it friendo, and I came up to it.
Uh-huh.
I was being very diplomatic.
Huh.
And it just went nuts.
Oh.
I'm also saying, if it gets me, man, if it gets me, it's going to come after your shinies, and you have more shinies than me, so... Thanks to Juan Reginald.
See,
I mean, you could have gotten 2 rings when he showed up in the tower.
Could have.
Oh yeah, he would have allowed you to take 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing that I looked up. So I looked it up. There is no longer a limit. You can wear technically as many rings as you want to, as long as you can convince me that it's possible to put them on your hands and still use your hands. So if you want to try and figure out a way to convince me that you have, 53 different rings on and you're still able to swing your sword, go for it. It's allowed. Because rings specifically are just wearable. They don't have a slot. But if something was like wearable cloak, then you couldn't have like 2 cloaks in the cloak slot, right? But since rings are just quote unquote wearable, you can have as many as you want. Anyway, that was the other thing I was supposed to look up and did.
Oh.
okay, I'm gonna move over. What's actually over there?
Yeah, right.
You've got a 25-foot move. I think you've got enough movement to get where you're going.
Well, I'm trying to see, but
you're trying to see if you can flank?
Yeah, I was gonna try to flank him.
Yeah, that I think you might actually not have quite enough movement for.
20 I think I was here.
Are you muted, Anna? You're very quiet. I'm guessing you're only coming over Abe's
Yep,
mic.
I was muted.
Makes sense.
I think I was here.
I'll allow it.
I'm pretty sure I was, because I think I remember being like, oh, that's 20 feet.
Yep. And either way, I'll allow it.
Okay. So I'm gonna move here.
Cool. And now we know that means he is flat-footed, which means you get a +2 to hit.
Let's go.
And I'm going to use my club
To hit Manawanui in the face.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to use my fist. It actually has...
To punch Manawanui in the face.
because ironically, I had a staff and my fist, and the fist was like way better than the staff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've got a better chance of hitting with my fist, but I do less damage.
Well, you have a +2 to hit, so add that to the other one.
I'll do the club. Alright, so I get my first one, I got a 25 plus the 2, which is 27.
All right, that'll hit.
And the damage on that one is 7. And then I got a 14 plus the 2 is 16.
All right, that will not hit.
Okay.
All right, and now, roll me a 1d2, and you want to get a 2.
I got
it. You got a 1. All right, you said you did 7 damage?
Yes.
All right, so you swing and you hit the ghost, but you also kind of go through the ghost and also hit Manawanui. So Manawanui, you are going to take half rounded down would be 3, I think, hit points.
Oh, good.
Now the ghost also takes damage.
I thought you were going to say I was going to take 7 damage, and like, well, it just happens instantly. That's how much hit points I have.
But yeah, so you hit both, but yeah, it's kind of like you were just hitting a thing of a Jello, and part of it goes just through the ghost and smacks Manawanui right between the eyeballs.
Nice. I always wanted to do that.
Hey, dude, I'm helping. Like, whose side are you on?
Akalupa's like, oops, sorry, psych.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oops. My bad.
All right, and maybe that's why your second one missed. You were like being overly cautious now, trying to not hit Akalupu again.
Yeah.
Or Manawanui again. All right, so that's Akalupu's turn. Oh yeah, I have to start the new round. There we go. Now I can have people act. All right, Pipiopi, you're up.
Okay. Let's move and double attack.
Sadly, Akalupu took the only flanking spot.
But isn't the ghost already flat-footed?
No, only to people it's flanking that are flanking it. So he is flat-footed to Akalupu.
What if I'm here?
So that doesn't cross, right? So
What
no,
if I'm here?
that's the same problem.
But that does cross.
Not properly.
Okay, I'll go back to my original spot.
Yeah,
But that's
with a
because-
single square character, like you have to be directly across. If he was bigger, then like if he were this big, then there are multiple ways that you'd be able to flank him.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so my first roll, which is not flat-footed, I'm re-rolling because I rolled a 1. So I'm using my hero point.
Yeah, that's a good time because that would have meant that your knife broke.
Okay, yeah. So we got a 24 on my first attack.
All right, that'll hit.
That's 6 damage.
Noish.
And then my second roll is an 18, and I get a flat-footed bonus because of my twin feint.
All right. With flat-footed, that also hits.
Nice. And so that's 7 damage plus a 1d6 for, what is that feat called? I don't even remember.
Yeah, your sneak attack.
Sneak attack, exactly. So what's 1d6?
Nice.
Another 5.
Nice.
All right.
All right. So what was the damage on the first hit?
It was 6, and then 7, and then another 5.
Sweet.
That was a big
All right.
one.
Roll me 2 1d2s.
Oh no. Oh no. Mono and Millie gonna die.
All right, so the second hit does not land, thankfully, because that's the one that was gonna do, what was it, 7 plus 5, so like 12 damage. The first one was only 6, so rounding down, 3 more hit points to Mono Anui.
Why does that hit Mono Anui? There's no one on the other side.
Because he's grappled. So this ghost has like wrapped around him, right?
I see.
And it's like pulled him into his chest cavity. Not fully, so it's not like the ghost isn't big enough that he's like enveloped, but he's pulled him in against his chest like he's giving him a hug. But his chest cavity is this horrifying thing of like centipede stabby legs.
Guys, I have 1 hit point left, please.
Please stop.
Please.
All right, so then you did a total of 6 plus 12, so 18 damage. Oh, let's see. Not quite enough to hit him or kill him. I mean,
that was such a good turn for me.
Right? He's at 1 hit point.
Oh.
He was that close. And then we need 2 1d100 rolls to see if your knives break. 15% chance higher is better. All right, they're both fine. Sweet. All right, so that is PPOP. Guess whose turn is next?
Is it the ghost?
Oh no.
It's nice knowing y'all. Hey, real quick, because I feel like this might come into effect to play in the next turn for some reason, I have defeat Die Hard. I don't know what it means. It says you die from a condition of dying 5 rather than dying 4.
Yeah, so if you, once you have the dying condition, you start to gain levels of it. And every time you go down, you get a level of wounded, which then makes it harder for you to stop dying, basically. So basically it means that you will die after being downed more times than a normal person.
I see. Okay, cool. Just for some reason, I have a feeling that I might, dying might come into play here.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I don't know why you'd think that, you silly button.
It's just, some weird premonition.
The lowest thing it rolled was a 24.
Oh my good gravy.
So it's going to do 32 points of damage.
Good grief.
None of those are crits, thankfully. 2 of them were 19s.
Well,
Actually, some of those might be crits. What's your AC?
17.
17. Are any of these? Yes, one of these is a crit. One of them is a 28, which is more than 10 higher. So you take a total of, 44 damage.
Oh my god.
So I already added the first number, which brought me to 0. Does it matter if I add the second number?
So it depends. If we were playing with massive damage, you would not get a death save. You would be eviscerated.
Oh, cool.
I'm assuming people don't want to play with massive damage.
Assuming Mama Nui wants to continue on.
So let's get a vote. Anna, do you vote for massive damage, yay or nay?
No.
What about Jason?
No, that could only be bad. None of us are ever doing massive damage.
Are you sure? I think it sounds like fun. All right, so Manawanui, just like your friends have managed to make things worse. Akalupu hit you. PPOP, like this ghost is barely holding on. You can already see his like ethereal wisps are starting to flicker and grow ragged. But it continues to just tear into you. And these feet start to burrow under your skin, digging in, and you can see it raising your skin as they just burrow in across your entire back, and you can feel them piercing inside of your rib cage, starting to damage your internal organs, and you mercifully black out.
Also known as dead.
No, you are dying.
Oh,
You
cool,
are
cool.
now, so when you hit 0 hit points, you are now in the dying condition. And assuming that you don't die, which should be pretty hard, the ghost has 1 hit point left, then you will come back at 1 hit point, but you will gain wounded 1. All right, so now it's Sammy's turn, because, you know, Sammy can do so much damage.
You know, she can do at least 1 hit point, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has any damage.
She could hit it.
Let's see.
I don't know if
She
anyone
has
hitting
enough movement to get up there.
Just slap it.
just pushes Manawanui over the edge.
Does she have any guaranteed hit spells, would be the question. Because the question, like, the main thing is that she needs to make sure she hits here. No, she does not really have anything guaranteed to hit that would also do damage. So she's like freaking out, obviously, at this point, and she's just gonna try and hit it with her hair, actually.
Oh.
So her hair, she's like, no! Leave Manawanui alone! And her hair kind of like balls up into a fist behind her. And she's gonna try to punch it. And she rolled a 9 and a 3, so they both miss. But it would have been impressive if she'd killed it with her hair.
I would have been appreciative.
So that's it for Sammy's turn. So Manawadeti.
Do I get a turn? Like, how does this work?
So now you can spend one of your resolve points to no longer be dying. You
do that.
come back at 1 hit point on the next round, so you can't act this round, and you gain wounded 1 as a condition.
Wounded 1.
Yes.
Let me just open up my character.
So, wounded. You have been seriously injured. If you lose the dying condition and do not already have the wounded condition, you become wounded 1. If you already have the wounded condition, then you lose the dying condition. Your wounded condition value increases by 1. So like I said, it like keeps getting worse. If you gain the dying condition while wounded, increase your dying condition value by the wounded value. So you were dying 1.
Okay.
Now, if you were to go down again, you would be dying 2 immediately. And then every round, if you don't do something to lose the dying condition, you get another level of dying. So let's say you had no resolve points to spend and you're dying on a beach and your friends can't get to you with a health potion, then you would have normally 4 rounds and then you would be dead. But because of your whole thing, you have 5, right? But then now, once you have wounded, it becomes easier. So you would only have 3 rounds. And then if you were to get to wounded 5, you would just be dead immediately, permanently, no coming back.
I see.
And then the wounded condition ends if someone successfully restores hit points to you with treat wounds, or if you are restored to full hit points and rest for 10 minutes.
Huh. Well, that all sounds good to me. I'm gonna use a resolve point and become wounded 1.
All right, and you will wake up with 1 hit point in the next round. So that is it. Akalupu, you are up. This ghost is going to town. You can see like it started to basically inject itself under his skin. Like he's starting to like crawl inside of Manawanui.
Is there anything I can do to like make sure that like if I use my fist or something that I won't hit?
Yes, if you want to take a -2, which since you're flanking just breaks even, you can be careful.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna use my fists. Alright, so on my first attack, I got a 22.
All right, that'll hit, and you can't do less than like. So it's a ghost, it's ethereal, so it's been taking half damage from everyone except from magical sources. But there's no way you would only do you would do less than 2 hit points of damage, so it's dead. If you'd like to roll for how much damage you do, you could still do that though.
Yeah, let's just see if he like eviscerates it into next week.
I didn't. I did the least amount of damage possible. I only did 4.
That's still enough. This thing had 1 hit point left. So he did.
Maranui falls to the ground, takes 1 point of damage, dies.
Right. All right.
I'm gonna try and take my ring off now.
It is still completely fused to your finger.
Can I roll occultism to figure out what the hell is going on?
Go for it.
Skills.
Even though I think it would be more Arcana if you have that. Like, I'll still let you roll occultism. It'll just be harder.
They're both 0s for me,
Oh,
so...
okay. Well, then it just roll a d20 and let's see what happens, I guess.
20 out of 20, baby. Let's go.
You critted it? Nice. All right, so you...
I know everything about the occult.
Yeah,
for this moment.
Yeah, so you're like trying to figure out what's going on, and then you remember like, oh wait a second, wasn't there like a receipt that this guy gave me that I've had in my pocket this whole time? And you look at it and you read the fine print. And it says, "Oh, sorry, probably forgot to tell you, but by the way, these rings can't be removed. If you really want to get rid of them, I suppose you'll have to chop off your finger. Well, have fun with your wonderful magical powers."
Oh boy. That's bad. Hopefully no more ghosts come after us after we're off of this island. Or should we chop off our fingers?
Akalupu looks at his 2 most important fingers. Just like, why did I pick those?
Basically.
All right, Manawanui, on the other hand, is lying on the ground in a puddle of his own blood, wheezing, while Pipiopi is more interested in how to get his ring off.
Well, what happens if another ghost comes? We need to figure this out.
Help me.
All right, well, since no one else is doing anything, Sammy immediately is like, oh my gosh. And she's going to try to hopefully actually succeed at a medicine check this time. 18. There we go. That's more like it. She's got a +9. Can't believe how bad she rolled last time.
What'd she get?
I don't even remember, but it was not much. It wasn't quite a crit fail, but it wasn't even enough. Like, all she needed to roll was a 6 or better to hit the 15 DC, and she didn't.
Dang.
All right, so that is going to do 2d8 healing. So 9 hit points are recovered, and that is a success on a wounds check. So you are no longer dying or wounded. You can remove that condition.
Woo!
And unfortunately, I think, what is her heal spell? As a level 1. And she had prepared all just mend, so she cannot heal you with magic.
What the heck?
But yes, she's able to bandage you up, and this time she manages to get less sand in the bandages, so it's actually helping.
More cotton, less sand.
Exactly.
I don't think there's anything Akalupo can do to help.
You've got medicine.
Do I?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody has a medicine.
I have 3 Cure Light Wounds potions. Extra tasty, because they're from the barbecue sauce, I think.
Yeah, I feel like you did steal them from Loki at some point.
I wrote down in my journal 3x Cure Light Wounds, parentheses, tasty.
Yep.
Here,
All right, well,
Manawa Dedi, have one of my light wounds and I'll have another one and we'll cheers.
All right, that is 1d8 plus 8 healing.
Oh, dang. That's actually pretty good.
Oh, so we're automatically to full, right?
Well, you are. Because you weren't even missing stamina. You were only missing hit points.
Oh, the healing also works for stamina. That makes sense.
No, it doesn't. So that's the thing. Magical healing does not recover stamina points. Only hit points. Hit points, Manawanui just needs to spend 10 minutes catching his breath, and then he gets his stamina back after spending an additional... I always forget what they're called. The resolve points.
Right, but he'll have full HP after my...
Yeah.
Your potion? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
All right, and then I would assume you are going to spend that additional resolve point to get your stamina points back, Manawanui?
Yes.
All right, make sure you put yourself down to 2 instead of 4 resolve points, since you've used 1 to stabilize.
Let me do that real quick.
All right, so that was eventful. That escalated quickly.
Hey, buddy.
But you got to keep that in mind. If you're going to make a combat action, that puts you in combat.
Heck yeah. Do it again. It was being a creep. That's what happens when you're creepy.
My hero point isn't going away.
Weird.
I had to refresh my page a couple times in order to get to like modify my stamina and my hit points.
Oh, fun.
So I don't know if it's like something to do with the server, but
Yeah, that worked. Refreshing made it work.
All right, so you guys are able to recover from that. It does not seem like any more ghosts are coming down to bother you. So
That's very lucky.
you guys can get back to work if you'd like to now. So
it's not gonna go on the island.
yeah, you're gonna salvage from the ship instead.
Yes.
Might be smart. So let's get crafting checks from people who are doing crafting on the boat.
I prepared so many like building and mending spells that there was like several. I was like, oh dear, I didn't think I'd be in combat.
Oh, do you actually have mending spells set up?
I have what was it?
Because you can use that instead of crafting if you want.
No, I have temporary tool.
Oh.
We've already talked
Yeah,
about
that'll
that.
just give you the +2, so I still need a crafting check from you.
PPOP rolled a 3.
Oof.
I rolled a rolled a 13.
Alright. Yeah, so we're gonna compress things down, but let's get one from Akalupu. Akalupu can help.
I guess so. Akalupu was just gonna cook, but I guess Akalupu.
Do you want Akalupu to just cook? Because that is an option.
Nah, Akalupu will help. What am I rolling?
Crafting. And this is why I told you guys, crafting is going to be a big deal in this campaign. Not even just specifically for this, but like, normally you kill a monster, you get its, +1 holy sword of lightning damage, and then you kill stuff with that, right? This is going to be different, where the stuff that you use is mostly going to be crafted by yourselves.
Akalupu should have just cooked.
What did Akalupu get?
A 1.
Nice. All right, so
I rolled again 3 times and I got a 4, a 4, and a 7. I'm really not good at this crafting thing.
right. All right, so you guys, unsurprisingly, not being terribly familiar with boats or anything, are not very good at fixing them. And we're going to skip to a week and a half later. The boat is finally in good repair. And the ghosts are starting to really bother you. Like, they a couple days ago had started converging on the ridge, and we're just like staring at you from up there, and they've started moving down the stairs, and now some of them are like peeking at you from in bushes. And
I'm gonna
you're
slowly move away from the woods.
Yeah, and you have eaten most of the crab meat, so you're pretty much out of rations as well.
Lano and Nui just got done crying, as you could hear.
Exactly. All right, so what do you guys do? It's kind of midday, 2.5 or a week and a half later. And the boat is finally seagoing worthy again.
But we have no food.
Yes, in fact, you have very little food. You have probably a day's worth of food left.
So we can fight the ghosts and then try and hunt for food to prepare for our journey, or we could just run and try and fish for food.
I think we go for it and try and fish for food because I think the only things on the planet are the meat that grows on the trees and the puppies, right?
Yeah, unless you get lucky and find more, like, giant crabs or something.
Yeah, so we're gonna, I vote we take off.
Akalupu agrees.
The ghosts are coming! Get in the boat!
Amado Nui is going to retrieve his stashed goods and stash them. Well, he stashed them somewhere on the boat when he's making repairs.
Yeah, I would imagine sometime during that week and a half that they were taken out of the bush.
Yeah. Put into a new stash.
They're getting awfully close to you, Akalupa, I'm just saying.
The ghosts!
I was looking at the other thing. I was looking at the other thing.
Emma, a lot of ghosts.
I don't know.
That's not him.
Kick him off the boat! Every man for himself!
PPOP jumps out and pushes the boat into the water because no one else did that.
All right, and just in time, the ghosts are starting to run toward the beach, or float faster and more menacingly toward the beach, I guess I should say.
I just realized what's gonna stop the ghosts from just appearing in our boat?
They don't seem to teleport, though they do seem to be capable of moving through physical matter when they want to. You've seen them like disappear into the ground before. But yeah, so you push off and begin sailing away. And in fact, you do see them continue to just like float across the water toward you, continuing to pick up speed. So let's get some athletics checks for rowing.
So,
Who's rowing? Because I believe we need to go over the roles again. If I remember correctly, Manawanui is storyteller and does help with rowing. Manawanui is captain. Akalupu is storyteller and helps with rowing. Manawanui made himself captain, but that was actually Reginald. So that position is technically still like in flux if you want to like reassess it. Sammy was the quartermaster and PPOP was the navigator.
So I've got a feat that says instead of athletics checks, I can do performance checks.
Not for this.
Is it performance or acrobatics?
What is it? What feat is that? Because I don't see how you're performing sailing or rowing.
Let me tell you.
Acrobatic performer.
Is that a feat that I have?
That is a feat that you have.
I believe that's the one then.
All right, so you're an incredible acrobat, evoking wonder and enrapturing audiences with your prowess. It's almost a performance. You can roll an acrobatics check instead of a performance check.
Oh, what? For some reason I thought it said instead of an athletics.
Yeah, no, other way around, which makes way more sense, because I don't understand how you would act as though you were rowing and succeed. All right, so I would assume that Manawanui and Akalupu are rowing and that PPOP is stealing or steering.
Also
Could be
stealing.
either.
They're pretty preoccupied. I can look through all of their.
That's true. Do you want to poke through? Do you want to poke through Manawanui's bags to see the book and the necklace that he stole?
Oh my god, my shinies!
No, not yet. First, we need to get away from these ghosts.
All right, let's get those acrobatics checks.
Okay.
Akalubu got 20.
Nice.
We gonna go in a circle again?
Manawanui got a 15, which has a +0, so a nat 15.
That's not bad. And then I think we were doing survival for your steering stuff, right, PPOP?
Yes. 22.
Nice. All right. Well, between the passable efforts of Manawanui, the overzealous efforts of Akalupu, and PPOP's ability to just like make up the difference, you guys are able to get out of there at top speed and escape the ghosts. And after some time, you pull far enough away that you feel pretty confident that they're no longer following you, as they have dwindled off into the horizon.
We really should see about getting some fake fingers for when we have to cut these off.
All right, so do we want to push on a little bit further or wrap up? We've actually been going almost 2 hours.
No kidding.
But I didn't want to call it until you were off the island.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do some sailing if we want, or if we want to play Smite, we should probably do that instead.
I vote that this seems like a good place to stop for now, and we can do the sailing and everything next.
All right, sounds good. Then let's wrap up as always, and let's do Manawanui first. What have you learned?
Manawanui learned that sometimes "Hey buddy" can be taken as an aggressive
You mean "Hey friendo"?
Hey what?
Hey friendo?
Hey friendo, that's it. Hey friendo can be seen as aggressive in some cultures.
I mean, you also immediately started trying to cast a spell
But he didn't know that.
He did know that.
Did he though?
Yes, casting
He's
spells.
a ghost.
I could've
Yes.
been
Also,
casting-
your rings, whenever they cast their spells, emit a very bright and obvious glow.
I could have been casting Transport Gift, or there's a spell like that. I forgot what it's called exactly. But, you know, it could have been a friendly spell.
Yeah. Seems entirely likely.
Also, there's a big difference between pretending to row and actually rowing.
Yeah, and you didn't learn anything at all about your patron or anything.
No,
Like
not
that
at-
doesn't
not
matter.
at all.
Unimportant.
Unimportant.
All right. And what did PPOP learn?
PvP learned to read the fine print. Although, can we read? I don't think we can read. So
You just got that.
You
gist
just
in the
got
way
like
of-
you got a ghost voice in your head. That guy's voice just like said all of that to you.
yeah, the spirit of Ka saw through my eyes and was like, "Oh yeah, you should have looked at this."
Exactly. There we go. And what about Akalupu? Did Akalupu learn anything?
Akalupu learned that ghosts are squishier than they look.
So a lot of movies.
And Manawanui's forehead makes a very satisfying thunk when you hit it with a stick.
Manoa Nui also learned that ghosts can't bleed out.
Right?
I was very excited about that spell. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, all right, cool. If I get attacked, then this cool spell can help me out.
If
Yeah,
ghosts
it
could
didn't.
bleed, that would have been a much different fight.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Because it would have been taking that damage every round.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I was very excited about it, and that's why, even though I was pretty sure we weren't going to get into combat this session, I was like, I'll just take it anyway because I'm very excited about this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys didn't have to get into combat,
Oh. But we're just
but
probably not
you
going-
chose to get into combat this
Yeah.
session. Also,
man.
definitely a good choice not staying to fight the other ghosts, considering what
Yeah.
one of them did.
Yeah, and then they amassed an army.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you guys had a great session, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.